Welcome back. For pregnant women, 24 weeks is a monumental milestone. They are entering the second trimester and the countdown is on to meet their baby. But for one local woman, it is a day she'll never forget after nearly losing her life and her child's life. Here's more on this remarkable story. Local photographer Makenzie Hollar and her husband William had struggled in the past to start a family, but they were finally able to conceive a boy last year. They were beaming, excited to have a family of their own. But things took a turn for the worse at 24 weeks along.
I woke up one day and I sat up and I felt like I was going to pass out. I laid back down and I felt like I literally couldn't move my body, and I was 24 weeks on the dot. What's so crazy is the day before I made a joke to my parents and I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to be 24 weeks tomorrow, which means my baby's viable and they'll save his life if anything goes wrong. And little did I know that exactly 24 weeks on the dot something was going to go wrong.
Makenzie was home alone at the time, so her mother called 911. Emergency personnel say nothing really seemed wrong, but she was taken to the hospital just to be safe. But when Makenzie arrived at the hospital, they flipped her on her back where she was met with immense pain. It became clear she had free-flowing liquids in her abdomen and had to be rushed into surgery.
He said, Makenzie, we're going to have to go in and open you up. You're bleeding internally, but we don't know where. And so I'm going to try to open you up through your belly button, and if we can't find it, I'm going to have to open you up more. And if we keep having to open you, we're probably going to have to deliver your baby at 24 weeks. And I remember thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is either, like, that he's going to die or I'm going to die. And I just really hoped it wasn't going to be both.
This was all taking place amid the coronavirus pandemic. William was not allowed to be with his wife during what may be her final moments.
I remember I had her phone and I put her phone on her because I was like, they're not going to let anybody inside because of COVID, which is terrible. And I'm like, I might not see my wife alive again.
He sat alone in the parking lot for hours.
Then I get a call from her mom, and she says,
So he only got like 2 phone calls from my mom, who was back there. The first one was,
pray, pray, pray.
Pray, 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 doesn't look good. Mm-hmm. The second one,
she said, so his name was Halen, right? And I'm like, oh no. And I said, yes. She spelled it. I was like, yes. And she says, well, your son was born today.
Halen entered the world weighing just 1 pound 8 ounces. He was born so early that his lungs weren't fully developed. He was extremely fragile and would spend the next 4 months in the NICU receiving constant treatment.
I tried to keep my expectations pretty low. Like, even the first day I saw him, my first thought was like he's gonna die. And then we'll have no ability to have more kids. And that's it.
That's because of an extremely rare condition that put Makenzie and Halen in this spot.
Your placenta is supposed to be like this along your uterine wall, and mine went like this. It grew through my uterus, and there's no saving your uterus after that. So it was gushing blood into my entire abdomen and trying to keep him alive. So my brain was still getting oxygen, my uterus was still getting oxygen, keeping him alive, and obviously my heart. But everything else was shutting down, and they told me that I lost almost all of my blood supply.
A woman Makenzie's size has roughly 6 liters of blood. Makenzie lost 5 liters and was on the verge of death. But remarkably, Makenzie and Halen both pulled through. Halen is now 7 months old and is getting stronger every day.
Considering the things that happened and what could have gone wrong and the situation we could be living with now, everything is fine.
I never got to have a 3rd trimester, and a lot of people would be like, oh, you're so lucky you didn't get to have a 3rd trimester, but I would have given anything to be able to have him be in my stomach still for a 3rd trimester so he could have been healthy. And I think a lot of NICU moms, especially extremely premature babies, carry a lot of guilt because they're like, my body failed, my body did this, my body caused him to suffer and go through all of this, but like, it was completely out of my control, and I'm just so grateful that he is alive and that he is doing as good as he is, and he really is like a complete miracle. And when we picked his name before he was ever born, and Halen means Hall of Light, and I feel like he's kind of living up to that.
Makenzie has become an advocate for blood donations. It is something that saved her and Halen's life. And Houchin Community Blood Bank is in dire need of blood donations, especially type O blood. O negative is the universal blood type that is used for babies in the NICU, cancer patients, and those in emergency circumstances. But this type is rare.
Based on the population of the United States, not a lot of people have that O negative blood type. We're talking 40% of the population does have O, but then you have to think about the RH factor, the positive and the negative. The positive is the 40%. Out of that 40%, only 7% is O negative blood type.
When you donate, you are helping save up to 3 people's lives. Houchin also needs all other blood types, plus platelets, plasma, and COVID-19 convalescent plasma if you've had the virus and recovered from it. You can schedule an appointment by heading to hcbb.com.